2026 is here, everybody wants to improve their style, myself included. And if you know this feeling where you're kind of like stuck in your own style progression and you feel like everybody is dressing better than you, then this video right here is perfect for you. Because in today's video I want to share with you guys how to really improve your style. It's not about trends, it's not about consumerism and buying more clothes, but more like the fundamentals of style itself and advice that I wish I had earlier when I started out. For reference, here are some of my fits so you know I can actually dress and I'm not just talking a bunch of nonsense. But even if those fits are not your style, I would still recommend you to watch the video because the advice that I'm giving really apply to any kind of style that you're wearing. And it also doesn't matter if you just started out on your fashion journey or you've been in the game for a while but just feel kind of stuck. And if you're new on this channel, my name is Ned, so let's get started. I think nowadays one of the biggest limiting factors when it comes to style progression and style evolution is just a lack of confidence. And I believe that this is also why this fashion space is so trend obsessed and so trend oriented. Because well, it's kind of in human nature that you want to belong, and if you feel hate towards your style, it's very easy to adjust to what is commonly liked, which of course are trends and is like the mainstream fashion, which then of course leads to your style being basic, uninteresting, and of course not personal and not unique. And my advice to work against this is to only listen opinions that really matter to you. Because when you really think about it, most of the people that kind of comment on your style or talk bad about your style, when you really think about it, you don't really relate with their style, so why should their opinion even matter?
And probably the person who told you that?
One of the label people.
Do you like how they dress?
No.
So why the f are you listening to them? Worst come to worst, what's gonna happen? You make it, someone says they don't like it. All right. Will you like it?
Yeah.
And that's all that matters.
And once you realize this and understand this concept, I feel like a lot of those urges to like fit in or get the newest trend really disappear. And this essentially makes space to develop real style. But of course, fashion is something that cannot 100% originate from within you. And you of course need inspiration. Everybody has inspiration. Every designer, every piece, there's inspiration behind all of it. But this is also where most of the people nowadays take the wrong path and kind of get the wrong inspiration or like use inspiration wrong. Because instead of just blindly copying outfits and kind of researching all of the pieces, where they're from, and kind of buying them as well, repeating the same outfit, you should really think about the outfit and especially what kind of certain elements that you really like about the outfit. Maybe you don't even like all of the outfit, but just like a certain part. So when looking at inspo, it really helps to take your time and kind of analyze it. What are the aspects that you like about it? And also what pieces you might already have in your wardrobe in order to kind of replicate that effect. But most importantly, how can you add your own touch or your own perspective to this already existing idea? And with this, creating something new out of it. And I know that this might sound confusing to some of y'all, so let me just give you guys a quick example from my own outfit. And in my opinion, if you look at the inspo and the outfit that I made, you wouldn't really think that one outfit was inspired by the other. But well, yeah, when looking at this Vogue runway outfit, I really liked how the button-up was layered asymmetrical and also how it was a super long button-up. And I think in combination with this kind of rather cropped jacket and the button-up layering on top of the jacket and also the belt being visible, all of those elements were the things that really stood out to me and were the things that I really liked. And I looked at my own wardrobe. I had this long button up, I had this rather cropped jacket, and I of course have a belt. Without me needing to purchase any of the pieces from the original outfit, I could kind of recreate it and also put my own touch to it. Of course, my pants are really different and my shoes are really different, which then as a result created kind of this completely unique outfit, to be honest, that you wouldn't even guess was inspired by this Vogue runway outfit. And to me, this really is the perfect example on how to use and approach inspo. But of course, there are many different sources that you can get inspo from. When it comes to social media, my favorite inspo is of course Pinterest, because compared to TikTok and Instagram's algorithms, I feel you have much more control over how you kind of curate your feed and kind of develop your own interests and organize them, stuff like that. So when it comes to social media platforms, Pinterest is definitely my most recommended one. Then we of course have runway shows. Now I know that these are not as accessible as social social media. But if you're interested in fashion, why not take a look at some runway shows? And one really good option to quickly get access to runway looks and runway fits, and this is by the way also where I got the fit inspo that I talked about earlier, which is the Vogue runway app. Now this app used to be free, but I think you actually have to pay a subscription now to use it. And I'm not too sure about the exact price right now, but I think it's around like 20 euros per year, which I think for what you get is definitely fair, because what you can do is look at all of the outfits from specific runway shows. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Vogue is one of the biggest media kind of organizations in fashion. So you really get all of the different designer brands that you can think about. Another source of inspiration that I really like is taking a look at lookbooks of your favorite brand. Every brand that you buy from, of course, has a lookbook or like styling and a photo shoot for their pieces. And I think some brands are really doing a great job when it comes to also kind of experimenting with style and not just making like basic outfits. And especially if it's like one of your favorite brands, you already resonate with the brand and kind of identify with their style, and it's kind of easier to get into it and also improve your style with it. Next up, we of course have artists and musicians, and this is just because of the fact that artists and musicians or rappers usually want to be in the public eye and therefore also dress more experimental. And also a lot of these rappers and like artists, stuff like that, have stylists that really know what they're doing. Then we have shopping, which I will go into detail about later. And last but not least, of course, your generic social media, meaning Instagram, TikTok, stuff like that. Definitely the most trend-oriented source of inspo out of those, and can be really misleading at times. But once again, if you understand how to go about inspo, then social media is also a great way to get inspo. We all have our flaws. Most of us probably have done things in our past that we regret. And I have often thought to myself, what even is the point to better myself when I can't erase the past by doing so? But truly, he who is the worst gains the most from being good. It is never too late to make that change happen, whatever it might be. If you have done bad in the past, make sure to do good now and in the future. What I really dislike about social media when it comes to fashion, however, is how kind of online it is. And especially with Corona back in the days, I know it's been a while already, but I think Corona is really what kickstarted this chronically online shopping community. I myself have a brand, for example, and I don't have a store yet, so I'm of course having an online shop. So I'm not trying to say that online shopping is bad, but at the same time, fashion shouldn't just happen online. And this ties into my next point, which is shopping. Now I think shopping is definitely one of the most important things when it comes to discovering and building your own style. And I think it's also the thing that helps me build my style the most. Because well, yeah, I started my fashion journey in Tokyo, Japan. I wasn't really interested in fashion before, but when I got to Tokyo, Japan, and I lived there for half a year, I really got into fashion. And I'm so glad that I had this opportunity because, well, I saw a lot of stuff online, obviously. But instead of just shopping online, I then went out in different malls, different stores, and tried out a lot of different pieces. And yeah, with this you really have the opportunity to just play around, experiment and discover. You can feel different fabrics, you can wear different fits and kind of see how they complement your body, because you might not even like specific fits or kind of fabrics on your body. They look insanely good on a model, on an e-commerce picture, but in order to discover what you like, you really have to go out there and try stuff on. And it can also help a lot with getting away from some of these bubbles, because it can really happen quickly that you're kind of in an echo chamber of this one specific style, which most of the time is really trend oriented. But in real life there are so many different brands. There are still a lot of brands that don't even have an online shop and just have their store. And for me personally, this experience of kind of wandering around, checking out different stores in Tokyo is really what shaped my style and also shaped my love and interest for fashion. And when I came back to Germany, because I'm from like a small town or small neighborhood where there's only like H&M and Zara, stuff like that, I really kind of missed out on this part. And looking back at it, I really noticed how my style decreased. And in retrospective, I really didn't like my style in that phase. And right now I'm still living there, but I'm trying to apply what I've learned as best as possible and go out shopping as much as possible. A really good option you can do is vintage shopping. And vintage shopping really has a lot of benefits when you think about it. It's of course cheaper, more sustainable because you're buying used clothing. But more importantly, most vintage shops are not really curated towards one specific style. You kind of have pieces from all of the different eras and a lot of different styles. So it's once again a great way to kind of broaden your horizon and see what is out there, try it out, put it on and see if you like it. And what I also really love about vintage shops is how it's the perfect source for DIY or upcycling projects. Because a huge aspect when it comes to good style, in my opinion, is personality and personal style. I know you hear a lot about it on social media and kind of how to get personal style, stuff like that. People talk a lot of nonsense about this topic, but in my opinion, one key factor when it comes to personal style is DIY and upcycling projects and kind of making stuff yourself. Because, well, yeah, when you're making your own clothes and upcycling stuff, it is completely unique. No one has it, and it happened out of your personal reference. And if you're into fashion, I would really recommend you getting into sewing. I know it's definitely something that is not super easy and straightforward, and it can also be very expensive, especially when it comes to the machines and the equipment. But I personally think you really can't go wrong when you're into fashion in investing into a sewing machine. And with this, you really open up the broadest horizon of upcycling and altering garments, but also of course making garments from complete scratch. But there's of course almost endless stuff that you could do to a garment, and some of those options are also really cheap. For example, dyeing or bleach fading garments yourself, applying studs, distressing pieces, or also applying designs and kind of prints with a heat press. And as I said before, I think this is the perfect way to get like personal reference and personality into your style and also express your creativity just way more. Alright, so next up is experimenting, and I have touched on it a bunch of times in this video before, because, well, by definition you can only find out what you like by trying it out and testing it out. And this, by the way, is also why a lot of trends have such a short lifespan, because most people don't actually like this stuff, but the algorithm just suggests that they like it. And yeah, well, as I said, the key to this is just experimenting. And even if you're pretty confident in your own style already and you have a lot of stuff that you wear and that you like, I think you should never stop experimenting, because style is not like this one destination that you want to reach, but it's kind of constantly evolving, and you never know what you might like and you never know what you might discover and find if you're not experimenting. Alright, so style is not just clothing, and it took me a while to realize this. I think kind of the three pillars when it comes to style is, of course, clothing, then we have looks, and then we also have the way you carry yourself. And I know it kind of sounds unfair, because you might think that you are not as genetically gifted as others and that your looks are kind of nothing you can do about, because, well, that's just how you were born. But I myself strongly believe that everybody can kind of discover their personal vibe and kind of discover what looks best for them. Of course, you won't look like anyone else, but that's also not the goal of it. I mean, for me personally, when talking about looks, it's more of like finding the perfect combination of elements that looks kind of the best with you. Different combinations of your hair, or different hairstyles, different beard styles, maybe having pierced ears, stuff like that. But yeah, what I think really helps with this is taking care of your body and your hygiene, which, by the way, also boosts your self-esteem and your confidence, as well as working on your dream physique. And once again, I'm not saying that there's this one dream physique that everybody should aim for, but it's just like, think about how you really want your body to look like, and also what's kind of possible with your height, for example, and then if you want to go for it, go for it. Alright, now to finish this list, we have the most important point to it all. And this is because all of the advice that I talked about before is kind of touching on it. And what I'm talking about is analyzing your style, because today, nowadays, especially with social media, it has been so normalized to just consume fashion and consume, and you don't even realize what you like, you don't even realize what kind of fabrics you like, what prints you like, stuff like that. What definitely helps when it comes to this, and what I think is the beauty of social media nowadays, is documenting it, which, if you don't want to put it out there, is of course something that you can do in private and just document on your phone. But yeah, what I would really recommend is taking a picture of every single outfit that you create, no matter how good or bad it is. Just take a picture of it. It can just be a single mirror selfie. The world does not need to see those pictures, but it helps you to take a look at it and analyze it. What are the combinations that you like? What I did was just taking the best outfits out of all time that I really liked the the most of myself. Just put them in a folder and really took my time looking at it. What are the elements that I like about it? Are there certain pieces? Are there certain fits, certain shapes, certain fabric? And what I, for example, found out is that I really like when you have baggy pants and slim boots, and then take one leg of the baggy pant and stuff it in those boots to create this like kind of cuffed or balloon shape. I really resonate with this, and I like to do it in a lot of my outfits. Or for example, pieces that I really like are button-ups. I mean, I'm wearing a button-up right now to layer, but I kind of catch myself almost wearing button-ups in every single fit because I just like them so much. But at the same time, it also helps you to realize what you might be missing. For example, what I discovered was that I don't have any belts or I don't have any headwear. Like, so yeah, with all this information combined, you then know what you are looking for when shopping, what kind of fits you're looking for, what kind of fabrics you're looking for, what you might be missing in your wardrobe. And this really helps with shopping intentionally and not just like shopping trend after trend and then having a bunch of pieces that you're not even wearing anymore because you just bought them out of a trend. So yeah, if I have to sum up this video, my biggest advice that I would give is to analyze and just be thoughtful and mindful about your fashion journey. And I think this is kind of the key to understanding your style, and when you understand your style, you also know how to improve it. And just remember, style is not this end goal or this destination that you need to reach. There are no shortcuts. At the end of the day, all you need to do is just enjoy the journey and have fun with it and allow it to be your passion and not this competitive thing. And with all of this said, I'm out for today. I'ma see you in the next one.